Imagine waking up one day to find your whole city is leaving. Your streets, your school, even the church you grew up in. This is happening in Kiruna, Sweden, where thousands of residents are carrying their memories to a brand new city. Stick around to see how engineers are doing the impossible, why thousands of residents are leaving their old city, and the hidden costs that no news report talks about. Before we roll into the story of Sweden's moving city, make sure to move over and subscribe to Design Zip for the latest on incredible engineering and mega projects around the world. It all goes way back to the turn of the 20th century. Kiruna, high above the Arctic Circle, didn't start as a pretty Swedish town. It was created for one reason: iron ore. When prospectors realized the nearby Kirunavaara mountain held some of the richest iron deposits in the world, the Swedish state-owned company LKAB stepped in. In 1900, the city of Kiruna was officially founded to house miners, their families, and the people who came to serve a growing community fueled by the mine. Railways were laid to ship ore south, and Kiruna became a proud industrial hub. For over 120 years, the mine has fed Sweden's economy and provided Europe with steel. In fact, today it still produces about 80% of the European Union's iron ore supply. But the problem, the ore body doesn't stop neatly at the edge of the town. It stretches directly beneath Kiruna's original city centre. As long as LKAB kept to the upper levels, the ground held. But the more the company digs deeper, the more the bedrock shifts. Engineers know exactly what that means. Sooner or later, fissures will begin to open up on the surface. These will not be giant sinkholes that can swallow houses, but creeping cracks that can ripple through the land. They don't look dramatic at first, but they spread, and when they reach the city, they will push and pull at the ground, bending pipes, snapping cables, and twisting water and sewage lines until the infrastructure simply fails. That's why the decision was made years ago that Kiruna cannot stay where it is. If the mine is to keep running, the city has to move. The plan is as massive as the mine itself. Over 6,000 residents will move, about 3,000 apartments along with schools, offices, shops, and even cultural landmarks will be rebuilt or carried over to a safer location. The new city is being constructed 3 kilometers east of the old one, outside the zone where fissures are expected to appear. By the end of the move, which is set to finish around 2035, the old Kiruna will be left behind. The scale is almost impossible to compare with anything else in Europe. Whole neighborhoods have already been cleared. Some houses were rebuilt from scratch, others are being cut apart or are to be placed on trailers and transported intact. Even the old City Hall clock tower was dismantled and re-erected next to the new City Hall, piece by piece. And now, the most symbolic part of this entire process has taken place. Recently, Kiruna did something that stunned not just Sweden but the whole world. It moved its most treasured landmark, the Kiruna Church. Kiruna Kirke was inaugurated in 1912. Today, it is one of the largest wooden buildings in Sweden. Designed by Gustav Rickman to resemble a Samilavu tent, it's a cultural icon and spiritual home for the community. It has also been officially voted Sweden's most beautiful old building. Tearing it down and starting fresh was not an option for the people of Kiruna. There is too much history and too much identity tied to this structure. The relocation was years in the making. Engineers spent 8 years planning every step, with costs going over 500 million kroner, which is around 52.6 million US dollars. The hardest part was making sure a century-old timber building could survive being hauled across town without splitting or cracking. First, the ground around the church was excavated so steel beams could be slid underneath. Then, the entire structure was carefully hoisted onto 2 rows of self-propelled modular transporters. These were massive trailers with more than 130 wheels. The church sat there like a sleeping giant, ready to crawl forward. And crawl it did. The speed was painfully slow, about half a kilometre an hour. In the first hour, it moved just 30 metres. The journey stretched over 2 days. During the move, there were engineers inside the church listening for even the smallest creak that might signal a disaster. But it was not just a technical project. It was a spectacle. Streets had to be widened to 24 metres, lampposts and traffic lights were removed, and even a bridge was taken down to clear the way. Crowds lined the streets to watch history roll by. This included Sweden's King Carl XVI Gustaf. Broadcaster SVT turned it into a national event. They streamed it as the Big Church Move. Some called it slow TV, but for locals it was anything but boring. Many said it felt like carrying their memories and traditions to a safer place. Inside the church, priceless treasures were secured. The altarpiece is a landscape painting by Prince Eugen. It was wrapped properly so that it stayed in place and protected. The great organ with over 1,000 pipes was reinforced with scaffolding. Nothing was left to chance. For residents, the moment was bittersweet. Vicar Lena Tjarnberg admitted it felt like the church was leaving the ground where it truly belonged. For 9 years, she had seen it from her kitchen window. Now, when she looks outside, there is only a construction site. Yet she also called it necessary because if the church had stayed, it would have been destroyed. And so, as the massive timber structure crept into its new resting place, Kiruna proved something extraordinary. A city doesn't just abandon its past. Sometimes it literally takes it along for the ride. Kiruna's church might already be in its new home, but the rest of the city is going to take a lot longer. We are not talking months or even a couple of years. The full move is expected to stretch out until 2035. That's more than a decade of construction sites, noise, and people waiting for their turn to pack up and start again. And the price tag is huge. The relocation is expected to cost more than 10 billion krona, or about $1 billion. LKB is footing the bill since their mine is the reason for the move. They are covering new housing, new infrastructure, and compensation for residents. But the thing is, not everything is replaced equally. Some families are getting modern apartments, but they are also facing higher rent, capped at 25% more than before. So yes, new homes are nice, but they also come with a heavier monthly bill. That's a detail people don't forget. Now let's talk about who feels this change the hardest. The Sami. Long before Kiruna was founded in 1900, the Sami people lived here, indigenous people herding reindeer across the Arctic landscape. Reindeer don't care about city plans or mining profits. They follow ancient migration routes. These are routes that are now being broken apart by expanding mines, railroads, and now the city's relocation. The move east means more land is being fenced off, paved over, or disrupted. Sami leaders have warned that they are losing a way of life that has already been under pressure from climate change. The complications don't stop there. The relocation is happening so slowly, so families live with years of limbo. Some are still in old Kiruna, watching their neighbourhoods empty out. Others are trying to adjust to life in the new city, where nothing quite feels the same. Even small details, like losing a familiar street corner or a school playground, make the change heavier. The relocation looks impressive on the news, but for the people living it, the process is messy and emotional. On one side, politicians and LKAB talk about the mine as Europe's lifeline. The iron ore here supplies 80% of the European Union's needs, and recently, geologists discovered something even bigger. Europe's largest known deposit of rare earth elements, the minerals used in electric car batteries and wind turbines. Leaders are calling Kiruna essential for Europe's green revolution. They frame it as a step toward independence from China, which controls most of the world's rare earth supply. So yes, Kiruna is moving to secure its future, but in my opinion the price is being paid not only in billions of krona, but in cultural loss, broken traditions and years of disruption. And that price is harder to measure. What do you think? Is this a triumph of human ingenuity or a story of too much sacrifice for progress? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your perspective. And if you want to see more incredible stories about architecture, design, and mega projects from around the world, make sure to subscribe to Design Zip. You will not want to miss what is coming next. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.